Request refueling. Request
Copy.
rearming.
Copy. Refueling complete. Rearming complete.
it by 08. What's that called? Enemy bomber. They appear to have stopped giving return fire again. They weren't giving it for some time, then fairly recently they started shooting back at us. Now they seem to have stopped again. Let's see. Well, I shot something off him, but I don't know what it was. But it was good enough to make him crash. So, splash one. That'll relax all.
Check.
Yep, copy. Well, I just had an enemy bomber. That was a nice beginning.
Oh, that's good.
Some more incoming. They may well be escorted. So far not.
Sorry, when you say bomber, you mean the A20?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
There's more coming in, but they don't appear to have fighter escort.
No, they won't always. They spawn independently, but the fighters will try and escort the A20s if they exist at the same time.
Yep, copy that. I might engage these. Must have flown past one, I didn't see him. I think I might turn and chase him. Oh, there's one. Got enough to go for him. Splash trim. They are giving return fire. I'm out of ammo, RTB.
Roger.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if they were giving return fire, but they are.
I think it's up and down on occasion.
Yeah. And of course that whacked my engine control system, so my revs are climbing. So I'll be making a slightly emergency landing on 08.
Roger that. Oh, sure.
I'm only on base at the moment. Not impossible that the engine will give out suddenly. Still on base at the moment, about to turn finals.
Alright, I might roll out just in front of you there, because I'll be in the air before you.
Yeah, go for it. Gear down, turning finals. On approach.
Yeah, I'm rolling.
I think they shot out my left tyre. I'm listing. Moving to south edge of runway for repair and rearm. Oh, I'm rocking about a lot, so yeah. My port tyre is definitely flat. I'll jump out and take a look at it. Yep, sure enough, there it is. Look at that, flat. I've shot through the wing, and well, actually, my engine's been hit quite badly too, which is another reason why I came in when I did, because I knew that I was going to be suffering. I'm going to cut the engine, repair. Flaps up first. It also gives me a chance to have a sup on my beer. Well, cider actually.
Just found out why I was having so much trouble over the last few flying sessions.
Yeah, go on.
You remember I've got two dials on the base of my joystick?
Not that well, I don't remember, but go on.
You could view them as being sliders, but they're physically they're discs which rotate.
Okay, so one of them's obviously moved accidentally.
Well, they act as like a hardware tuning trim for the stick. So I've got a left and right and an up and down. And they were both off centre, and I hadn't realised, which is why I was struggling.
Yeah. And I've found that if you haven't got your trim right on the Mosquito, that can make quite a lot of difference to takeoff. You know, that's all three. I like to make sure I've got nose down, rudder and aileron trim for takeoff, and that makes it much smoother.
Request refueling. Request
Copy.
rearming.
Now I can have a
Copy.
sup on my stuff. I've got cider tonight, but with a drop of blackcurrant in it, and it really makes it nice. Cider's a bit raw on its own, I
Refueling
find,
complete.
but with a drop of like just a quarter of an inch, if that, of blackcurrant juice in the bottom of the glass before putting the cider in, it really makes it quite nice. And for anyone that's interested, it comes out that sort of colour. Oh, it looks like the YouTube viewer has gone. YouTube viewers really don't seem to stick around very long.
Rearming complete.
A lot of the time. Depends on who they are, but most don't seem to stick around very long. There we go, we're being repaired. Okay, actually whilst I was getting repaired, instead of supping me beer, my cider, I should have been setting my trims and stuff, but never mind. Won't take a second. Okay, trims are set. Ready to start. Crank the throttle. We'll prime it. Only 3. Because she's warm still. And crank the throttle. And away we go. Flash, passive 109.
That's it.
I didn't think he was a passive actually, I thought he was one of the escort because he was among the bombers. But he was blue winged, so he was obviously passive.
Right, yeah.
So that's a 109 kill for me, but I thought it was one of the 109s that escort the bombers, therefore he would have engaged me, but he didn't. And when I got closer, he had blue wings, and that was telling me that he was passive. Well, he's not going to get out of that. That's it, he's destroyed. Relaxor ahead of us, so I might tag along. I see Jeeves just joined us.
On finals, I don't know if my radio's broken or your radio, but it's been broken for quiet.
It's been what?
Been quiet, so no, it's fine. Sorry, I wasn't sure if one of our radios had taken a hit, which has explained why the radio was been.
Yep, probably that. No, all good. I'm not there, and I believe I believe Jeeve was taken off from Beslan. pretty much out of ammo, so I'm R2B.
Where's that?
And the rear gunner once again has hit my engine control and she's racing. I should be okay to get in.
Where's that?
I'm on base at the moment, about to turn finals onto 08. I just did an experiment. I remember reading somewhere that pilots were told the chances of needing your rudder during a dogfight aren't that great. So try to take your feet off the rudder pedals and put them to one side. I just did that a couple of times, and there's always an accidental tendency to use the rudder pedals when you don't need to. So if you've got your feet to one side of your pedals, you don't do that so easily, and I felt as though that just helped me.
Right, okay. I tended to use the rudder pedals to like just kick the angle of the barrels round slightly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can do that, but it's very easy to do it more than you want when you don't really need to at all.
Yeah, that's fair.
Turning on the finals. Control isn't very good, they've hit something. I was lucky, nearly nosed myself over with my brakes then. Definitely need repair. The engine was racing, they hit the prop pitch control, so you can't control your revs and it just shoots right up. You have to control it purely on the throttle after that. And eventually your engine can cut.
Request repair. Copy. Request refueling. Request
Copy.
rearming.
Copy. Refueling complete.
In case you need to know, I'm sitting on the south edge of the runway near the slip road, near the taxiway, while I'm getting repaired and rearmed.
Roger.
Rearming complete.
So they've shot my wing up, and they must have hit my engine. There's a couple of marks there. I'm not sure if they are rivets or whether they're actually bullet holes, but they definitely hit something that controls my prop pitch. I think the prop pitch must be hydraulic or something, and so when they hit it, nothing happens immediately. It's when the hydraulics drain away that after that the engine races, and you have to control it purely on the throttle. About 5 or 10 seconds I think it is to actually do the repair, and now they'll drop me down off the ramps back onto the concrete. Okay, I should have been actually adjusting my trims whilst that was happening, but never mind, it doesn't take long. So I'm only going to give 3 pumps to start because the engine's warm. Right, it's 1 o'clock. I've got time that I could fiddle to check out the A10. I'm sure I'll have some remapping to do on the A10 since I had to reinstall DCS. think I might, although I've started up, I think I might swap aircraft, jump in an A10 and see about what I need to set up for it. Laxo, if you copy, I've just started my spit, but I think what I might do, there's over an hour left, roughly hour and a half. So what I might do is jump in at A10 and see what I need to do in the way of remapping since reinstalling DCS.
Okay, right.
So I might not have comms, I'm not even sure if the radio's mapped. That's the reason I'm saying all that. Okay, so I'm gonna respawn in a A10. I think what I'll do is see if I can get my radio in case I need to ask Lex or anything. I can't remember what rockets I need. Let's get some power and get the radio on.
they're clear for takeoff.
Yep, if you copy, I've just got my radio on. You're clear for takeoff. I'm working my way through A10.
Where's that?
Can you remember what rockets I would use apart from the air-to-air? I did have it saved, but of course it's lost that since I reinstalled.
You want the, bear with me a second.
The AIM 9s?
They're not rockets, they're the air-to-air missiles.
Oh right, yeah, of course they are. Yeah, sorry, of course they are, yeah.
Right, you want the Hydras. I think the ones that you were using were the Hydra 70 Mark 5 Heat.
Okay, I'll have a look. I won't be able to speak while I'm checking that, but okay, I'll have a look, thank you.
Okay.
rearming.
Copy. Rearming complete.
I'm getting a double key over the mic, but I'm not getting any voice.
Yeah, sorry, that's accidental key. Yeah, I've got an issue in as much as the throttles are not mapped, and it's more than that because they have to set the idle settings have to be set via target, and I'm not sure why it's not doing that, because it's target that sends the right signal to tell DCS that I've pushed it off the detent. And I can't remember, that was a bit of a job getting that done, and I can't remember why that would have lost it. I don't know. So basically neither of my throttles are moving, because it doesn't know that when they are or are not on the detent, so the throttles aren't moving. The left throttle is actually operating the rudder pedals, so there's definite mapping issues there.
Oh yeah, I mean, it could be an ages old install, but the second you add a new plane, it looks at all your axes and then sticks them on all of your primary axes. So there's nothing you can do about that. That's always going to happen. As for your detent thing, off the top of my head, I'm not sure how to correct that.
No, it was a bit of a game trying to actually do that, because I have to tell target to recognise and do the right thing at that point and send the right signals. So I'm not sure that the A10 is going to be a very quick get in and fly at all, so I can't throttle up.
The alternative would be, just for the purposes of flying it, maybe stick it on a keyboard map. In fact, I think there is, maybe, because it is just to get it out of the idle position.
Yeah, well, I mean, as far as I know, oh yeah, it probably. I think it thinks it's in the idle position.
Have it.
But first job I got to do is unmap my left throttle from the rudder pedals. Okay, just to get them off the detents, I've used right control home and right alt home, and now the throttles are functioning okay. They're mapped, but they were mapped wrongly, but they're okay now. So maybe I'll be able to get going.
Yep, sounds good. Just make sure you got your gear and flaps mapped, and the rest of it you should be able to do through the mouse anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going to come in, run from the east.
Yeah, copy that. I have a horrible feeling that all the things that I set up in target are lost.
Well, don't forget there were a handful of files, so it might just be a case of pulling the bits in from the file that you need.
I'm not sure what you mean.
When we was looking at it last, there was about 3 different settings files at different dates.
For target.
Yeah, for time.
I don't know where they were. Any idea where they were?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Because they will only have been. I'd have to look at what I saved for my C drive, I guess, to get that. My old C drive.
Yeah.
I give that landing a 7.5 out of 10.
7.5, well, I think you're being generous.
Well, it was decent on the descent rate, but you were off center by at least 15 feet.
Well, it's an American aircraft, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. It was a 10 out of 10.
Well, it's American aircraft to drive on the right, didn't you? I was landing on the right. Just in case of oncoming traffic. You never can tell around here.
You mean the correct side?
Well, that's what some said.
I mean, what country invented the automobile? Tell me.
Say who what? Say again?
What country invented the automobile?
I'm not sure.
Well, I think it's fair to say that Pioneer led on the optical storage front, but ultimately they were found out to be wrong because where's Laserdisc now?
Oh.
I think also to be considered is that maybe the Henry Ford kicked off the general used motor vehicle, but before that there must have been a convention for trucks, or not trucks, but for carts, even in England, a convention that they drove on a particular side of the road. So which particular country, USA or England, had the horse and cart first?
America.
I'm not quite sure how you worked that one out. Well, Yeah, well, actually, I've got my machine searching my C drive backup, or backup of C drive from before my upgrade. For things to do with target, and of course it's finding all sorts of stuff, but not what I want at the moment. So far, it's still searching.
Okay, it'll be in there somewhere.
Santa. Well, yeah, well, it's kind of not so at the
How you
moment.
been? It's been a hot minute since I've came in here.
Hang on. It's because I'm having to reset up various things. My setup here is a bit more complex in as much as sometimes I have software that runs this HOTAS, and some of those signals have to be set up in software so that when I push a button it sends like a keyboard combination to make it do what it wants, because I can't, if I select this switch to do a job, it doesn't see it, so I have to tell it when I push this switch send control F or whatever for flaps, and at the moment it's not doing that because I will have lost that when I upgraded from Windows 10 to Windows 11, reinstalled DCS and all sorts of stuff. I've been kind of dreading the day when I was going to get into my A10 again, but I'm nearly there, I think.
I know the feeling being troubleshooting FPS loss and the 51 earlier.
Oh yeah, well actually I think that DCS have got some stuff to do, because this happens every now and again. The frame rate gets hit, and then later on they do something that takes the strain off and this frame rate comes back up. But at the moment I've got 25 FPS sitting on the ground, and it used to be in the region of 50. So they'll probably do something else again later on and it will bring it back again. So your P51 issue might not just be that, it might be just also tied with what DCS need to do with the coding to bring the frame rate back.
My issues is related to export scripts. I think I just fixed it, TBH.
Oh well, that's good. But there's things that I had this so set up so nicely on this the throttles. I can lift and pull back, and it puts it back into the idle position. That cuts off the engine, but there's no way I can tell it to do that by the normal controls. I have to tell the software when I pull this lift up and pull back, the software has to send the right signals as if I'd hit the keyboard, yeah? And I've probably got to, I might have to reset that up, I don't know. I'm trying to find old config files, but I'm not sure I'm going to find them. Actually, Lexor, if you copy, is it likely that they will be called config files?
I just sold it to my son. LOL, got it for 300 sold.
It's possible. If you can find where your current saved, then you could use that extension as a guide.
Yeah, no, it's just I'm not sure if they are called, whether my target files that hold this information would be called config files. I could search for config instead, which is pulling back all sorts of stuff with the word target in it, all stuff that's nothing to do with it. So, but if I look for config, there should be fewer files, I would have thought.
Well, again, if you find out, if you do a save of your now configs, configuration settings, then it will give you the extension. But what I was also going to suggest is that it's highly likely it's going to be called something like Spitfire or Warthog or A10. I think probably Spitfire, because that's what most of it gets saved as. So possibly do a search for that as well.
I think you might be thinking of the way DCS saves it, but I'm talking about the way Target saves it.
Right, okay, yeah, perhaps it is a different one, but then, so yeah, I'd still say do a save of your target now, and that would give you the file extension at least.
Well, I haven't changed anything in Target.
No, but if it doesn't matter if you've saved it or if you've changed anything, and we're just talking about getting the file extension.
Okay. Oh, I think that's the FCF. Is it FCF? That sounds right.
So it's just, you don't necessarily have to actually commit the save, you just need the window to come up, so you've got a guide for the file name extension.
Yeah, I'm sure it's FCF. Now you say that. I'm not sure how to get to that screen, if I can get to that screen whilst I'm in game. I'll look for FCF. That's a very good point though. Hang on, I'm going to do a search for FCF.
Okay.
I don't know if they're still there, Santa, but that's wicked. You're flogging it to your son and making a profit. Oh dear, oh dear. Right, I'm AFK briefly.
Roger. Or I'm just going to do a 180. I'm not going to taxi up the entire length of the airfield. Right. We've got a handful of targets, 255s just to the south below the river. I'm going to pull out to the north very slightly and then come back in again just to give some space for the Mavericks. Probably about halfway up between here and the black smoke that's up to the north. I'm going to bank it around to the left. right now to start left. Okay, I'm going to start left turn. Left turn. Apologies, I didn't telegraph. you do, that was fun.
Okay folks, I'm trying to get myself going in the A10, but that's proven to be a bit of an issue because when I did my upgrade of from Windows 10 to Windows 11 and I had to reinstall DCS, this unit here, my HOTAS, uses target software, and I think it lost all the things it has to do. So instead of physically mapping a switch on here, for some things I have to tell the software that when I throw this switch, send a signal like Control F for flaps or something like that. And those commands that I've completed, which took some time to do, I don't seem to have them anymore, so it's not doing it.
Was that? Were you? Have you been talking for long, thinking you were talking to us, or was that to your stream?
That was supposed to be to my stream, but I must have pulled the switch back instead of pushing it down. But yeah, what it seems at the moment, I have found FCF files.
Interesting. I never messed with the software at all on the Warthog and just found the raw buttons.
Yeah, well, for various reasons which I can't even remember now, it makes sense to me, the way it has to work really, because of the way I use things, that it has to send information from the target software, which gives a good flexibility, but I can't seem to get that back. I believe I've found a file. Of course, once I've done it, I forget it, don't I? You do it and forget it. They are FCF files, as far as I remember, and I've found an FCF file. I've found a couple of FCF files, including one marked as A10C. And it seems to be in the right place, but it isn't doing it.
Again, was that for stream or for us?
Did I pull it back again? Sorry, that was in theory for my stream. Hang on a minute. Test 1, 2. Oh no. It's doing both. It's sending to my stream and to you. So that's something else I probably have to deal with.
Right. Okay, that explains it.
And that's only on the A10. On the Spit it doesn't do that. And for various reasons on the A10 it's going to do it. So sorry about that.
That's right, no problem. I just had a number of flights, one of them there with Warhawk, which was quite enjoyable and rewarding. I think because it was coming up to 20 past 2, there's probably not much time to do much more. So I might need to call it there, but that was a good run.
Yeah, good, nice to hear. Well, I think what I might do is just have another little bit of flight in my Spit just to feel as though I've done, or the Mozzie, just to feel as though I've done something. Although I have had a few air kills tonight, so I've done something in that sense. It's been good in that sense. But just to finish off, rather than finish off with a failure of this, I'm going to save my config file that I have for the A10 at the moment in terms of DCS config file. As I say, I have found FCF files, but I'm really not sure where I'm going on it. And it's just sort of taking my mind in circles. So I'll probably just save what I have at the moment on the DCF side and perhaps jump in the Spit for a few minutes.
We're just coming up to come past.
Oh, Roger. Hello, chaps. Nice. Need a reverse gear now, don't you? You might want to stop there.
Yeah, as of that time, I've actually had a small amount of control.
That's good. A little a gathering of A10s. I suppose if a bunch of crows is a murder of crows, then this must be a killing of A10s.
You know, with me on, but often not, it's a crashing of A10s.
Nice to see you chaps. Popping in happy for a beer.
I'll catch you Friday.
Yeah. Warhawk just ejected.
Alright, I'll catch you in a bit.
So Warhawk and Blacktail are both ejected. Okay, that's at least saved this config, but I've still got the business of the target file. But as far as I'm concerned, it's got one. Oh, hang on a minute, it's got one. I wonder if I need to save. I don't know why it's got two different files, one for the spit and one for the A10. I normally save everything with as a split. I don't know. Too much to think about. I think I'll jump out of this aircraft and jump in a spit. Right, I'm not sure who's there, but would anyone have any preference as to what I do, if anything? It's almost 2:30. We would normally finish at 2:30, especially being it's Sunday, although that doesn't affect me very much. So if you'd like me to fly a particular aircraft, you could ask, but really it's going to be a choice of a Spitfire or a Mosquito at the moment. Otherwise I'll spend all night or the rest of the night fiddling with controls as I have with the A10.
Energy 999. Whatever floats your boat.
Well, I'm in the Spitfire. Well, I'm in the Spitfire, and that always suits me. So I'll just do something in the Spitfire for a little while. How long am I going to be there for? Energy? I don't remember that name. Have I spoken to you before?
Energy 999. Maybe 30 minutes or so. Not that I know of.
Right, oh okay, well in that case, welcome to the stream. I just hope there might be something of interest for you. At the very least, I should take off in this bit. Now, do you fly in DCS? That's question 1. Question 2 is, do you fly the Spit in DCS?
Request refueling. Request
Copy.
rearming.
Copy.
Energy 999. Oh yeah, like 1000k hours. I have played around with the TF-51, but that's the only WW2 era thing I've messed with. Energy 999. Asterisk
Refueling
1k.
complete.
Yeah, I figured you meant 1k. Okay, all right then, Energy. Well, say welcome to the stream. Hopefully you'll see something you enjoy. So so you're not aware. Would you like me to talk through the Spit, the startup, how to taxi, and things like that? I'm very happy to do that if you'd like me to.
Energy
Rearming complete.
999. Sure. What's startup look like in this one?
Well, it's pretty simple and straightforward compared with the jets, obviously. But I actually don't get much of a kick out of the jets. I get a kick out of these warbirds. I think they're absolutely beautiful. I could almost like smell that leather headrest behind me. I can almost smell that, and oil and fuel and stuff when I get in here. It just feels great. I love it, and I like that big fan at the front there as well. So okay, so for startup with the Spitfire, you've got one brake lever on the Spitfire, which I'm wriggling now. Now, unfortunately, I'm on push to talk. So when I'm push to talk, there are certain things that won't work. If I throw a switch, I've got to let go of the push to talk, throw the switch, and then push to talk again. So look, I'm putting my brake fully on. I'm going to put my prop pitch fully fine, and I'm going to just nudge the throttle forward to get the power on and light up the gear warning. Right, so if I don't put the brake on, she's going to nudge forward as soon as I start. So I like to put the panel lights on, and then I'll open the covers for the booster and starter. Right, now I'm going to put the fuel pump on, and then open the fuel cock. You might hear the fuel pump if you've got stuff up loud. I'll put it on. I can't hear it. And now I'll open the fuel cock, and then I'll put the magnetos on, which I can operate from my switches that I've sorted out at the back here. So these are things that you program for. So I've programmed it to do the right thing on the keyboard when I push these switches forward. So it just feels more realistic that way. So now I've got my fuel pump on, got my fuel turned on, ignition, the magnetos are on. I'm going to prime the engine with 4 pumps. And then I'm going to push those 2 buttons together. So I'm using a couple of keys on the keyboard to push those together. It's one of the very, very few times that I have to touch the keyboard. And then when it starts to catch, when it turns over and starts to catch, I'll flick the fuel the fuel lever forward, and then she'll be running. So first of all, I'm going to just crack the throttle, and now I'm ready to push those two buttons, and I've got a button around the back here that will flick that fuel control lever forward. Mixture control. So here we go. Oh, by the way, I'm using Echo 19 sound for the engine because it's better than the DCS sound. This is a lovely sound, especially when you're flying along, you've got a canopy closed and you get near the airfield, you open the canopy and it just sounds airy and beautiful, and you get like almost phasing sound from the prop wash. It's really nice. But okay, stand by. I'm just going to start up, make sure my brake again, a double check the brake is on, and away we go. Right, while she's warming up, I will set my altimeter and my trims. A lot of people like one division of nose down, but I'm comfortable just there. And the rudder trim is full right rudder. You can just about see it in the bottom there. Right, so we've got four up rudder. Now when I set this back to standard normal view, I think that's too far back, because you could probably touch your nose on those dials if you lean forward. It's a small cockpit, so I prefer it more like that, just that little bit closer. I think it's a bit more realistic. So I'm going to put my lights on. So we've now got navigation lights on. 2 points of interest with a Spitfire. I'll leave you thinking for a second about what these blobs are, and perhaps you can give me what you think they are in the chat. And also whilst you're thinking about that, I'll turn certain light switches on, this one and this one, and when I operate that, see it says there Morse key, so if I jump out, I've mapped it to M. And you'll see there's a belly light as well. So if I lose my radio,
that's awesome.
Yeah, if I lose my radio, I can still communicate with Morse, communicate with the rest of the section. Have you got any idea of what those blobs are, or can I have the pleasure of explaining it?
Energy 999. Unless it's like enabling different lights for that signal. No idea.
Well, you're on the right track with the word lights, because obviously in the Spitfire, if I do it, if I throw one of my switches, we get the illuminated sight. Well, that illuminated sight works on a light bulb which is incandescent, didn't have LEDs in those days, so that light bulb sits in there, but with the vibration of takeoff and guns firing, the element can blow. So you pull it out, you grab this piece here, pull it out, there's the cable that gets the power, pull it out, discard the bulb that's in there, grab one of those, put it in, plug it back in. So those are spare light bulbs for your illuminated sight. Not a lot of people know that. I didn't know it, so I think that's just a little interesting point. We can't actually do that in DCS. It's not. That's not model.
999. That's hilarious.
Yeah, can you just imagine it? Hang on, Fritz. Hang on, mate. I'll shoot you down in a minute. I've just got to change the light bulb. So anyway, yeah. So that's what that's for. Now, onto the more serious side of flight, like taxiing, the way the Spitfire works, if you've got any of the other warbirds, I think the German, at least one of the German warbirds might work this way, I can't be sure. But anyway, with the Spit, the way that you taxi, you've got one brake lever. So if you want to turn left, you give it left rudder and apply some brake, and it puts that braking on the left wheel. So if you put them back to normal and apply braking, it puts braking to both wheels, the same braking. Right rudder puts braking on the right wheel. So it's not intuitive, it feels actually quite uncomfortable to do it. I'm just going to reset my tracking, track IR, hold on. That's a bit better. I can now look down more easily to show you the rudder pedals. So, I'm going to taxi now. I've set my trims. I'm going to taxi out to runway, which is in that direction. So, it's left rudder, take the brake off, and we'll start to, as I increase, I'll get up to about 1400 RPM. We're nudging forward already. So it's a combination of brake, throttle and rudder pedals. But you can normally hold the throttle pretty much where it is and just use the rudder pedals and the brake. But the engine sound from Echo 19 is beautiful. But this is the previous one actually. I paid for the later one when I did my upgrade from Windows 10 to Windows 11 and had to reinstall DCS. Horrible job over the course of time. And I felt that the new version, I don't know, it might have been a mistake, but my one is the older version. It sounds brilliant. I'm going to try and show you, if you look, there's not much movement on the brake lever. And there is a sort of a bit of a sweet spot where you're always putting some brake on so that you can just use the rudder pedals to change where the braking is going. Probably be in trouble with the ground crew for that, for wearing out their brake pads. When I get on here, I'll announce what I'm doing, but I think I'm the only one here probably. I'll announce on radio. We use the aircraft radio. We don't use Discord. We used to use Discord, but aircraft radio actually feels better. As I say, I don't think there's anyone else here, but I will announce just in case. Then we just get straightened up and then nudge forward a little bit to get the tail wheel to run straight. That should be enough. Brake on. 49 Spitfire 08 for takeoff. So that's announced it to anyone that might be around. Right, now for takeoff, I'm going to go stick fully back. First of all, I must remember to take the brake off. But stick fully back. Hang on.
Do you have to do anything like stick all the way back or forward to unlock the tail wheel in this guy?
No, you don't. The tail wheel doesn't lock. But what you do is you pull the stick back to kind of keep the tail down really for a little while, and full right aileron. And then as you throttle up, you're almost moving your stick forward at the same speed as you're pushing your throttle forward, because you don't just shove it forward, you ease it forward. So by the time you get back there, your throttle will be forward, and when you get to about 85-90 miles an hour, somewhere around that area, you'll lift off. Just a little rotate and hold it, and then put your gear up. As you put your gear up, the nose tends to drop, so you have to be aware of that. And then once that's there, once my gear's up, I can adjust my trim and I'll put my trim to one division of nose up for flight, and then I'll put the rudder, the knob for the rudder trim back so that the word rudder, it's difficult to show it with this, there's the word rudder is right at the bottom at the moment. The word rudder, or the double D of rudder, would be at 12 o'clock by the time I'm done. So I think I've said it. Oh, and then I can close the canopy. Leave the canopy open until I've taken off. Always have the canopy open during takeoff and landing, just in case there's an issue and they want to get you out. They don't want to have to smash through a canopy to get you. They just want to be able to reach in and undo your seat and your seat belt and pull you out. So that all they want to mess about with is your harness. That's all, and then pull you out. So canopy open during takeoff and landing. I think that covers most of it, so I'll just do that now without talking about it too much. So stick back, well, brake off. At the moment my throttle's fully back, so brake off. I'm not going to nudge forward. Stick full back, full right angle, throttle up, and away we go. So if you keep an eye on the speed there, and then later on you'll see that as I adjust oh yeah, that's the other thing, while I'm taking off I'll adjust the trim, and I will adjust the prop pitch so that it brings it back to 2,700 RPM. And I think that's probably most of it. Right, so brake is off, stick back, full right, throttle up, here we go. Dancing on the rudder pedals all the time. I'm bringing the stick forward as I'm throttling up. We rotate. Gear up. Adjust my trim. Put my rudder trim back. I know that's a count of a roughly 6 because I can't keep looking down at it. Right, that's about right for the rudder. I'll close my canopy. Pull my RPM back. And I'll pull my throttle back to give a boost of about, it's nearly there now, about 7 or 8. And apparently she'll run all day with those settings. Notice there was no flaps used for takeoff. And now I'm going to just sort my trim out a bit because she wants to climb. That's not bad. I'm going to turn, open the canopy, and you'll hear the difference. It sounds beautiful. Well, just for the hell of it, I'll climb out to the west a little bit, get up to at least 2,000 feet, and then I'll invert, pull the stick back to make a 180. Right, so we've just gone past the 2,000 feet. So I'll level off. Close the canopy just to be polite. and I'll do that invert turn. Go up, yeah, go up to the other end and do the same. I'm not sure, over this direction here, there's a bridge. And on that bridge there are some enemy units. If they haven't been destroyed already, I'll go and have a go at them. Right, let's get a bit more altitude. Invert, do a 180. She's lovely, she's responsive. Fly in F-16 and you move the stick and it's like the F-16 says, what do you want me to do? And then it does it. In a Spitfire it's much more possible. So I'm going to make my way to those units, my way to the bridge. I think that you'll notice there's some trains in a log jam there. Someone's hit the train, a train, so all the other trains are now log jammed up behind it. I think I am seeing the BTRs. There are BTRs on the bridge. It's 4 BTRs, so I'll go in and have a go at them. Guns are ready. No, they're not. The sight is on, but the guns are not ready. I'll make them ready. Little pip at the top of the stick. Right, guns are ready. I'm trying not to move my feet on the rudder pedals because I remember I've read it somewhere, you can take your feet off the rudder pedals in normal flight and possibly in most of dogfighting and just use the ailerons and the stick to turn. Right, there they are, they're firing at me. They've hit me a few times. I've got 3 of them, but there's also infantry down there which are quite dangerous. It's best to hit the infantry with rockets because you haven't got to actually hit them with a bullet. The blast will do the job for you. I'm not sure why that last one. Oh, you listen to the engine. It's racing. I'm not doing that. It's because they've hit. I think the prop pitch is controlled by hydraulics. They hit the hydraulics and you lose it.
Yeah, it sounds a bit unhappy.
They hit the hydraulics, so you don't get a problem initially. Oh, engine's just died. I'm not going to put my gear down. Putting the gear down to land on grass on this grass in a Spitfire is not good. Not a good idea. If you try to, if you put your gear down, just nose over.
I think I saw a bit of steam or smoke from your engine too. Ooh, yeah, something they got was important.
Yeah, well, say I think the prop pitch is controlled. It's controlled by hydraulics. When they first hit you, it doesn't make much difference, but then the hydraulics drain out, and then so your prop pitch is like fully forward. Then it's like fully fine, and the engine races. So then you have to control it with just the throttle. But I mean, okay, they messed me up. I got 4 of those BTRs, so that's the result. And now I could have a long walk back to base, but I'm not gonna walk back. It'll take too long. So what I'll do is I'll just respawn in a Spitfire again.
Energy 999. To be entirely fair to you, the BTR-80s are like 40 years newer than you.
Yeah, that's right. But it's not just those that are dangerous. I mean, they're firing at me, but there's infantry down there that I'm not sure what they're carrying, but they're carrying some horrible stuff. And even if the BTRs are not firing at you, those guys on the ground there, they can still make a mess of you. Right, now the first thing I've got to do, because on this mission, this is Laxor's mission, he created it, he's gone now, but he created it, it's done a magnificent job, there's all sorts of nice little features about it, and when you spawn in you have no ammo, so the first thing I need to do is get some ammo, so I'll just do that. I'm using voice attack for this. So the voice attack, I'm just bringing up that window for my ammo. Although that says rockets, there aren't any, but don't worry about that.
Request refueling. Request
Copy.
rearming.
Copy.
Okay, I put the radio on, but I don't think there's anyone else there. I think it's probably just me now. So anyway, I got 3 out of the 4 of those BTRs, so that's an okay result. I sometimes get all 4.
Refueling complete.
Right, so I'll now get started. I probably don't need to explain too much, but if you've got any thoughts or you want to refresh, ask a question, just stick it in the chat there.
Rearming complete.
Making sure the prop pitch is fully fine for start up and take off. Okay, fuel is turned on. I've just got to prime it and I can start. Okay, I've cracked the throttle a bit. And away we go. Right, I'll set my altimeter and do my trims. It's really awkward to look down at that the rudder trim whilst it's moving, but with head tracking it's really awkward. Right, we're good to taxi, I think. So same as before, rudder and brake. I'm using this slider here for my brake. think I might stop for a second while I adjust track IR. I'm going to duck down and centre it. Couple of aircraft up there, I don't know what they are. Oh, it's them. Let me know if you go, Energy, won't you? Otherwise I feel silly talking to myself.
Energy 999. Will do.
Thank you, sir. Whereabouts are you on the planet, Energy?
Energy 999. Between New York City and Boston.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, my wife, my lovely late wife and myself, we did a New England in the Fall tour for our 40th anniversary a long time ago, and we landed in JFK and we came back from Boston because our arrival at JFK was only a little ahead of Hurricane Sandy, so we were very smartly moved out the following morning for our tour. We sort of got away from that area as quickly as possible. We were watching the weather forecasts on the news to see how it was going. It was looking a bit worrying, but we were out of the way. Okay. And just a little nudge forward, just to straighten up that tail wheel, and now I'm good for takeoff again. So once again, I won't need to explain this now. Hopefully, let me just adjust track.
Energy 999. Yes, Sunday was a surprisingly rough one for NYC. They're generally not really a problem that far north.
Yeah, well I know the weather guy was saying chances are it'll go up and it'll perhaps curl out to sea, or it might curl in towards land, and of course it did. So yeah, that was a little bit of a surprise, yeah. Right, let me just redo track IR. Okay, that'll do. Right, yeah, so I don't have to explain. Hopefully you'll be able to see the gauges. There's speed, altimeter. I'll adjust my trim again to give me one division of nose up once I'm airborne. And I'll put the rudder back so that the double D of rudder is at the top of the knob there. Pull my RPM back to 2,700. After that I can then close the canopy if I want to. And what I should do now is do a circuit and land, just to show both ends of it really. So brake off, throttle up, dancing on the rudder pedals all the way. Take gears coming up. Nose down trim is changed. Now do the rudder. I want the Hurricane. It's not fair. USA have got 3. Is it 3? They've got the P-51, the P-47. Can't think what else. I'm busy flying. Just my trip. Actually, what I'll do is there's some passive targets down there. Just a line of trucks. They won't shoot back at me. So I haven't set the RPM. Let's do that. And pull my throttle back to give about 7 or 8 boosts. Well, that was successful. There's always one that's out to one side, so you can't get them all in one go. When they're all dark, when they're all destroyed, they will then respawn, which is just makes good for target practice. You just keep going over them again and again. So I'll get that last one and they should then respawn. I've seen another one down there. That was a bit dicey, wasn't it? That was a bit low there. But I got them, I got the 2 that I went for. You see the dust trails where the others are sneaking out. When units get destroyed, they leave a crate behind, and that crate can be picked up by someone in the chopper and taken back to the airfield and processed as either fuel or ammo. And you'll see that Laxor's put 2 processing plants there. There's one with the tall chimneys directly ahead. If a crate gets dropped there, it'll get processed as ammo, and further along, that processing plant there, if they drop the crates there, it'll be processed as fuel, and we can run out. So, you know, someone has to keep an eye on what's going on, and if necessary, people will go out and do missions just to pull back fuel and ammo. So I'll make a turn and I'll land from the west, from 08. And I've put my prop pitch fully fine. If I had my canopy closed, I would have opened it. Okay, get it. One 908 for landing. Flaps down. You'll hear the increase in sound because we're now getting reflected sound off the runway. And then a Spitfire, once you've landed, it flaps up because otherwise the flaps get in the way of the cooling. But when the flaps are down, those two radiators can't allow the airflow to get through them so well. I'll put the flaps down and you'll see. You see that the flaps are preventing a decent airflow through the cooling radiators. And I would normally, if I'm going to reload, I'd move over to one side. I'm only a little aeroplane, so I can sit on the side and get rearmed, repaired. So that's, I think, a reasonable demonstration of the Spitfire, which I love dearly. As I say, I've got the F16 or the F18, the F16, and I just don't get the same fun out of it. It even puts the flaps up for you, doesn't it? Flaps up and down. Let me just cut the engine. That's it. You can hear me a bit more peacefully. Yeah, I mean, the F16, you don't even have to sort flaps out. It does it itself. So this
Energy
aircraft, you're going to fly it.
Yep, fully automatic flaps in the 16.
Yeah, which, I mean, fair enough. If you're in it fighting for your life and you haven't got to worry about flaps, that's great. I'm not fighting for my life. I'm sitting on my computer chair. So I want the fun of flying the aircraft and doing what I need to do, which is what you have to do in the Spitfire. So actually, I forgot to put my lights on that occasion, didn't I? That's it. But she's absolutely beautiful. I love this aircraft. To me, this is the best aircraft ever. It can never be improved or even equalled because
Peaky
there'll never
Lingo.
be a cause for it.
Hello, hello. Just gonna lurk in the background.
Oh, hello, Lingo. Nice to see you again. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm not sure how long I'll be here for now. You notice that Laxor set up this aircraft, and you've got BILL 1949. Of course, c'est moi. That's me. So he set that up. Set
Energy
that aircraft
999.
up for me.
Maybe more Cold War / late Cold War stuff would be a better match for you. Tomcat's not fly-by-wire, so plenty of manual stuff to fiddle with.
Yeah, but they haven't got that big fan at the front, have they? It's not that none of them have the same feel. If I didn't have a Spitfire, I would want a Mustang or a P47 or a Mustang or a P51 or whatever. But I want the Hurricane, and then I can't see that they're going to do it. We've got one single-seater fighter aircraft of the Warbird type for UK, and this is it. I mean, it's the best one, but I can't think Spitfire without at the same time thinking Hurricane in the back of my brain. They go together, we're talking peaches and cream. And of course the Hurricane, I think, actually took more kills down than the Spitfire when it did an overall count, but the Spitfire had the agility, of course. So, do you think you might get a Spit 99 energy?
Energy 999. If I had to warbird, I'd probably go American, so 47 or 51.
And a good choice. I mean, the 51 is definitely, it's fast. It uses a Merlin engine for a start. Once they put the Merlin engine, it changed the whole aircraft, didn't it? But I mean, the 47, the good old Jug, it's robust, but to me it's clunky and clumsy, whereas this does what you tell it when you tell it. It's a beautiful aircraft, it really is. So maybe you should get one at least on trial, but don't expect to be too successful immediately, because as I say, it's got quirks, especially that, what they said about the Spit. She was a lady in the air, but she was a bitch on the ground.
Energy
and that's very
999.
true.
Yeah, I know the 51 is fast. Faster than the A10 you were in earlier, which is always hilarious.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so the Spit on the ground is not a nice bird. Not to the, well, she still looks lovely, but she's not nice to the pilot. Once she's in the air, different question. But and that's why she's there for flying. She's not there for road for road travel. So yeah, that's very uncomfortable on the ground. When I first got the Spit, I thought, oh, have I wasted my money because I couldn't take off? I didn't know the tricks. Now that I know the tricks, I'm reasonably comfortable. And my landings are kind of iffy. Sometimes I'll land very nicely, and other times I'll really be on the carpet with a CO with some of my landings, even now. I should tell you, I said earlier on about my lovely late wife and myself going to the States for a tour of New England in the fall. And anyway, on the very first night, we would have been in at our hotel in New York, and there's a big guy. Actually, when I think back on it, I'm quite sure it wasn't him. But if you imagine John Candy, I don't know if I'm sure you must know the actor John Candy, a strapping big guy, sort of happy and laughy and very comfortable sort of guy to be watching. There was this guy, looked to me, he looked just like him. We were waiting for the lift elevator, and he said, "So what are you guys doing over here?" And then we explained that we're over here for like New England in the fall. And he said, "What? You jumped the pond just to come and look at some leaves? Don't you have any leaves of your own in England?" Lovely memory. Now I've got to decide whether I'm going to have another little drink before I turn in. Well, I probably won't turn in immediately, although I should. It's now 3:17 for me. We normally quit at 2:30, so we're fast approaching an hour over the top. I could give myself a nightcap of something. So I'm AFK for a couple of seconds whilst I grab a glass. In fact, I've got
Energy
a glass. It's a pint
999.
glass.
Oh yeah, that's late. I've got to get going myself. Take care, man, and I'll see you later.
Okay,
Energy
energy.
999.
It's
Front late wave.
a wave. Okay, yeah. Okay, well, no, thanks for being there and thanks for the interest. It's been been good having you there. It's always nice when people are there, but it's even nicer when we can interact. I mean, sometimes that's not good for me because I'm interacting instead of concentrating on my landing or whatever. But it's always good to have people there and to interact. So yeah, maybe catch you again. We'll be flying again next Friday and Saturday. So we normally start in the region of midnight UK time, maybe 11:30, and go through to about 02:30 on the Saturday, and then we do the same on the Saturday night through to Sunday. So with that, I'll say, yeah, take care and catch you again, hopefully. TTFN.
PT lingo. Hype wave, hype wave.
Yeah, yeah. TTFN, TTFN lingo. Thanks for being there. Okay, so here we are at the splash screen that starts DCS. I'm going to fold the stream now. Once again, thanks for everyone for being there. Maybe catch you again next Friday and or Saturday. Take care.